Sports Talk. All right, ready to rock and roll here today. What's going on, folks? Bob from OddsJam, OddsJam TV, and the Sports Nuts. All kinds of stuff here. Don't forget to click those links below to get in these sports books in your state. There's lots of them. There's all kinds of cool stuff going on with bonuses and what have you. Click those links below. Also, don't forget about the partner program. There's a link for it. That's fantastic. I have my OddsJam coffee cup. How you like that, folks? Huh? Look at there. You're going to wonder how to get those. I may have an answer here in a little bit. I've got a special guest coming on. He might be able to help me out. All right, look, the big news of the day right now is it's the NHL trading deadline, and there is a ton of stuff going on. So let me get in here and talk about it. But first off, I want to talk about that song that I just played. That was Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz from his third studio album entitled Are You Gonna Go My Way from 1993. And you know, something that I said that I would do on a regular basis is talk about today's rock news. And very quickly, in the rock and roll world, Danny Elfman and Trent Reznor have joined forces for a brand new version of Native Intelligence, the duo's second collaborative reimagining of music from Elfman's ambitious double album, Big Mess. You don't want to miss this. Trent Reznor is actually doing a lead vocal and backing vocals on that. Also, Rush has a second limited edition Moving Pictures beer. Rush, they've announced that, teaming up with Henderson Brewery in Toronto. You don't want to miss that. That's pretty cool. All right, that's your rock and roll report. I know it has nothing to do with betting, but hey, we have fun, and that's all there is to it. All right, very quickly, let us talk about the trade deadline and what has happened so far. All right, here we go. I'm going to go down the list. Work with me. The Rangers, New York Rangers from the Philadelphia Flyers, get Justin Braun for 2023 third-round draft pick. The Predators and Kings made a trade. The Predators got forward Braden Burke. The Kings got Frederick Allard, a defenseman. The Predators made a trade with the Maple Leafs. They got defenseman Alex Biega, and the Leafs get future considerations. The Sharks and the Wild made a trade, and here's why. You'll find out in the next trade. The Sharks get Capo Kakkonen, who is the goaltender for Minnesota, and the Wild got defenseman Jacob Middleton and a 2022 fifth-round draft pick. And the big news is the Wild got Marc-Andre Fleury from the Chicago Blackhawks for a conditional 2022 second-round pick. It becomes a first if Minnesota reaches the Western Conference Finals, and Fleury accounts for 4 or more wins in the first 2 rounds. The Capitals and Kraken the Kraken are just getting rid of people left and right. Capitals got Marcus Johansson back forward. The Kraken got Daniel Sprang and a couple of draft choices. The Coyotes and Jets made a trade. The Coyotes got Brian Little and Nathan Smith, 2 forwards. The Jets got a 4th-round pick. Is the Ducks goaltender, John Gibson, is he on the trading block? He turns 29. He signed through 2026, 27 with a $6.4 million average. What do you think? The Penguins and the Jets made a trade. The Penguins got defenseman Nathan Below, and the Jets got a draft choice. The Jets made another trade with the Kraken. I don't even know what the Jets are doing. Are they trying to they're like upping their team, I guess. The Stars and Coyotes made a trade. The Stars got Scott Wedgwood, a goaltender. The Nashville Predators and the Kraken made a trade. The Predators got Jeremy Lawson, a defenseman. The Coyotes and the Wild made a trade. The Coyotes got forward Jack McBain, trying to make room for salary cap and what have you. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Ottawa Senators made a trade. The Lightning got Nick Paul. The Senators got Matthew Joseph and a fourth-round draft choice. The Maple Leafs and the Kraken made a trade. This is a big trade because the Maple Leafs suck as a defensive team. They got defenseman Mark Giordano and Colin Blackwell in return for draft choices in 2022, 23, and 24. The Canucks and Leafs made a trade. The Canucks got defenseman Travis Dermott. That's because the Maple Leafs had to get rid of some of that cap room, you know. The Kings and the Red Wings made a trade. The Kings got Troy Stecher, a defenseman. The Senators and the Canucks made a who cares trade. Here's the other big one. There are two more. The Panthers and Flyers made a trade, and the Panthers, one of the best teams in the league and top one in the Eastern Conference, they got Claude Giroux, forward, Connor Bunnaman, a forward, and Jermaine Rupstoff for Owen Tippett and draft choices. Claude Giroux, the big name in that. And then we can also look at the Ducks are just getting rid of their team, man. I mean, I don't even know what's happening. They've fallen out of the wild card, and now they're just getting rid of everybody. The Boston Bruins got Hampus Lindholm and Cody Curran from the Ducks. And the Lightning also got Brandon Hagel from the Blackhawks, traded a couple of other forwards. The Flames, that's about it. That's it. That's all I got in the trade deadline. How's that for news? Now let me bring in my special guest. Oh, he's so special. It's Randall Mack. Give it up for Randall, folks. Randall, here's cheers to you with my OddsJam coffee cup. People are wanting to know where they can get this. You got any ideas? Can they order? What are we going to do here? People love this coffee cup.
Yeah, hopefully sometime soon we can get some merchandise on the website, coffee cups. But right now you own the only OddsJam coffee cup, Bob.
Hey, I have two of them.
Two.
So I have the only two.
I did not know one name that you just rattled off there listening to that outside of Marc-Andre Fleury.
You don't know who Claude Giroux is? Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, we're not going to discuss hockey, all right? What we do want to discuss, and folks, I'm going to do a little bit of I am not worthy. I am not worthy. I am not worthy for Randall, who is on fire in college basketball in March Madness, along with his partner, Steve, who's on fire and nuts at the same time, okay? But they're on fire. They've been giving out picks. You got to watch their show when they do the picks. They've been doing live streams, and it's doing really, really well. Randall, I want to ask what your secret is, but I know that you won't give out your secrets. But
I mean, I'll give you some insight. I mean, right. I'll give you some insight. I mean, we'll just I don't know. We'll go through a couple games. I don't know how many. I'll just kind of rattle here off the top of my head, and some of you've probably heard this if you've listened to the live streams with Steve and I. But I mean, in the first round, again, probably the two trendiest picks of the first round for an upset and a team to make the Final Four were Iowa and Virginia Tech. And I mean, those are two things that I look for year in and year out in the tournament. It's just nobody giving Texas any love. Everybody forgot about Chris Beard. This Texas team was knocked off in the first round last year. Same with Ohio State, actually. Bounced in the first round last year, hungry, wanted to beat Loyola. I mean, back to the Iowa game. I mean, this Richmond team out of the A-10, nobody had obviously ever really heard of them. Team Steve and I had followed for quite some time. But, really just looking at perception, of the betting world in regards to these games. I mean, I'll tell you a game right now, and I'm not going to give out all my games because I want you to watch the live stream on Thursday afternoon before these games go live. But there's another game, that perception, in my opinion, comes into play, and it's Providence and Kansas. Kansas, you could argue if Creighton doesn't turn the ball over, they're towards the end of their game, into that game, down one, chance to take the lead. Maybe Creighton wins that game, and then you're looking at a Providence team who was red hot from three. Providence from the 3-point line, they average roughly 7.3 threes a game. They hit 8 in the first half against Richmond. It's not going to happen again. I mean, it could. It's happened one time in the last 10 or so years, and it was the Villanova team that ran through the tournament and was just red hot. I mean, they couldn't miss, which, I mean, Villanova looks pretty good. But this round of the tournament you've seen a lot of underdogs cover the spreads. Maybe they're not winning the games, but this is a time where a lot of people look to bet the underdogs in the Sweet 16, and you really start to see the gap between a team, in my opinion, like Villanova and Michigan. I mean, I cannot believe that Villanova is only a 4.5-point favorite in that game. I thought it'd be closer to 6.5. Personally, I think Villanova runs them out of the gym. Arizona, Houston. I mean, here's just another angle. I don't really have a feel on this game, but Arizona narrowly survives. Houston, blows out Illinois. I guess you could call it a blowout. Maybe it wasn't. It was close down the stretch, but a team that barely survives, usually the next round, they bring their A game. So just a few angles I look for. I mean, it's tough. March Madness is very, very hard to handicap, and you look out there, a lot of people on Twitter and in the sports world are not winning in March Madness this year. And I told you the other day, March Madness, I live for it year in and year out. I cannot wait for Selection Sunday, and it's the best 4 weeks for me as a sports bettor. To see what I can do. I am a little disappointed though. I started out 11-0 and 15-2 now through the first 4 days. I was trying to break my record of 17 straight that I had a few years back, but didn't get there.
So here's a question I got for you, and we can belabor this, talk about it, dispute it, whatever. But I don't care who you are and what you're betting on, or any sport. But there are times like Wisconsin, for instance, last night, they couldn't shoot for the life of them. I mean, it was gone. They forgot how to shoot. Now, I think that some teams in the tournament are better defensively than what teams like Wisconsin or Iowa thought that they would be. Okay. So that probably throws off their rhythm. But when these guys are missing wide open shots with nobody on them, no pressure at all, I think they just choke under pressure. And, I got a little flack for, what my feeling was on the Big Ten conference, but I'll still say the same thing. I'm not high on them at all. And, Whiskey and Illinois, the top two teams, regular season, well, they didn't do nothing.
Well, but I mean, to your point, I mean, Wisconsin, that's the way they play. I mean, Wisconsin doesn't ever really blow anybody out.
No,
it's just not their style. But here was my angle on this game yesterday, and a lot of people will say you're an idiot for betting a game because of that. But here's the thing: that was a virtual home game for Wisconsin. I mean, they played in Milwaukee. It wasn't far from Madison. Virtual home game. They're only laying 4.5 points. Like, there's something wrong with that line. And I mean, I'm not saying that Vegas knows and, that the trap's set. We've talked at nauseum to Kenny White about that. Does Vegas set traps? But the bottom line is this Iowa State team that I couldn't tell. I watched the game yesterday, and I can't tell you a single player from Iowa State. But my angle on it was I can't tell you a single player on that team. I don't even know how they're in the tournament. They were a 2-win team last year, but they're only catching 4 in a game against Wisconsin. That's a home game, and that I'm going to tell you right now. If you went to a sports book yesterday and you asked 10 sports bettors who do you like, Wisconsin or Iowa State, I guarantee you 9 out of the 10, if not 10 out of 10, would have said Wisconsin. And it's one of those, I guess, to give you another angle, when it comes to March Madness, what is the scariest bet? To me, the scariest bet on the board yesterday was Iowa State plus the points. And just in my opinion, I mean,
Okay.
it kind of looked too easy to really just kind of take Wisconsin in that spot. And probably the scariest bet of day one as a sports bettor, again, if you don't follow these teams, was probably Richmond. I mean, truly, when you look at it, I mean, just based on that. And, I think looking ahead to the Sweet 16, what's the scariest bet of this weekend? I mean, for me, just based on kind of what we've seen down the stretch, I mean, I think the scariest bet of the weekend is probably Duke, and it's probably my favorite bet. So you're not going to be right every single time, but my goal is more often than not. And I think Duke is a very, very scary bet. We saw them struggle yesterday against Sparty. I mean, what was that 5-point game with 2:30 to go? They were down 5.
It seems to me that most of these games are 5 points going down the stretch. But I want to make another observation. All right. Here's another reason why I think some of these teams fail. Because you're getting stretches of teams not scoring of 6 and 8 and 9 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that those teams on the other side, the defensive teams, their quickness, these teams are not ready for. They've not played anybody with that type of defensive speed. Okay. St. Peter's is a perfect example. They get after you. They're like little bugs coming after you constantly. The other thing is if the officials let them play physically, okay, then those teams have a chance. If they do not, if they start calling ticky-tack BS like they do a lot of times, then those teams will not survive. But as long as they let the physical play go, Iowa State is another team. I think they're a very physical team. They're really fast.
Yeah. I mean, I agree 100%. And here's the thing. I mean, with Texas last night, great defensive team, but they do struggle to score. And Purdue doesn't. I mean, that's the problem. Even Purdue can score, against a good defensive team. But I want to point out, you mentioned St. Peter's, and I know we're running a little long, but you got me fired up here about college basketball, something I love to talk about. I want to mention this St. Peter's game because you see it again every year. And I don't have the stats in front of me. Florida Gulf Coast was the last team prior to Oral Roberts last year, the 15 seed making the Sweet 16. Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure Florida Gulf Coast got annihilated in that Sweet 16 game. I think they lost by 20 plus. Last year, Oral Roberts hung with Arkansas. They covered the spread. But I want to point out that last year, that game was in a bubble in Indianapolis. All right. This is not a traditional – last year was not a traditional tournament where these 15 seeds and these teams that don't belong, I mean, let's just be honest, they really have no business being where they're at. And St. Peter's is probably the only team that's left that I would say that about. Maybe I guess you could argue Iowa State, Miami, but these aren't schools that when they go back home like St. Peter's did, and they're going to be celebrated now for a week. And they're going to be told how great they are. And you're going to see, in my opinion, a different St. Peter's team on Friday night against Purdue than you saw the last two games in Indianapolis. And it's going to be because they've been praised. They've been told how good they are. And, I mean, to me, honestly, Purdue probably wins this game by 20 plus. And, again, people are going to look back last year and they're going to say Oral Roberts almost beat Arkansas. But, again, Oral Roberts didn't go home. Had Oral Roberts gone home for a week and been praised, I think it's a different story. The focus level is different. That
little guard for St. Peter's, dude, he is a smart player. He knows how to get contact and get to the free throw line.
Yeah.
That's a big part of his game. And I'm telling you, he's going to play the same way against Purdue, and he's going to get to the line. That's a big part of his game. I'm actually really impressed with him. I can't believe he's that small in a big man's game and playing as well as he is.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing with St. Peter's, again, I mean, this team was 15-1 to win their conference tournament. I mean,
right.
Honestly, I thought when I saw the bracket, I thought this is the worst team in the field, and Kentucky has a cakewalk to at least get past the first round. And I mean, I was, obviously wrong. And it's a one game. I mean, it's a 1 game tournament. I mean, TCU had Arizona on the ropes, last night. I was telling Steve this, it happens every year. I mean, the shot that Matherin hit to tie the game, I mean, it just seems like this stuff always happens in the tournament. If that's a regular season game, does that shot fall? I mean, it just seems like these players in the clutch they perform at such a high level, and it's so entertaining. But no, I'm really excited about the Sweet 16. So I've got my eye on 3 games.
So when you and Steve doing your next live stream for the tournament? You got that scheduled yet?
I don't think we have the schedule yet, but let me just take a look here and see what time the games start on Thursday. It looks like the first game on Thursday is at 7:09 Eastern. So I would assume we'll probably try to come on at about 6:30 Eastern. So about an hour or so before tip, or roughly 30, 40 minutes. We'll talk about that first game. Then we'll talk about Villanova, Michigan, and we'll go through those 2 later games as well. So probably I'll say 6:30 Eastern on Thursday is probably when we'll do our live stream and break down those 4 games.
Okay, so we're going to be maneuvering some stuff around. We have last minute betting and sweat the bet all in that area. We'll have to backtrack them. Me and Mike may go earlier in the day.
Oh yeah, that is Thursday. I forgot about that.
Yes. Also,
jam-packed schedule on OddsJam TV, Bob.
Right. When are you going to come up with that schedule, buddy? When are we doing that, by the way? OddsJam TV. Are we going to do it Wednesday?
I don't know. Somebody told us that our last episode that I thought was a complete circus was exactly what YouTube was made for. So maybe we should do it every day.
Okay. Well, believe me, you guys can bring a circus. That's for sure. Hey, that's Randall.
Every day?
Not if there's too much stupidity. I can only handle so much stupidity. Folks, that's Randall from OddsJam. I'm Bob from OddsJam. Randall, see you later, buddy. All right, here we go. So thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the midday show. Rockin' Midday Sports Talk. Keep an eye on the trading deadline in the NHL has 1 hour and 10 minutes left.